Welcome, Alex. Nice to have you here. It's good to catch up. I feel I feel almost like I'm catching up with a longtime friend we haven't spoken in a while. So welcome.
Hello, hello. It's been a while. True, very true. A lot of things, FTX and stuff. But yeah, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm doing great. Loving doing the podcasting and project going great. And yeah, how about you? How's everything going?
It's going great. It's been very interesting the end of the last year with all the market. Feel like it was a necessity in terms of all the noise, and so far so good. New version of NextDecade coming. We open luxury 3.io, which is very focused on luxury brands. More partnership with brands. I think by mid of 2023, we will have a lot of announcement with those brands and without the brands. So building, building in the background.
The universe sings.
All right. So yeah, we have a lot to unpack because you told me that you have a lot going on. Let's start from the start for the people that don't know you. Who are you? What was your journey prior to Web3? How did you end up getting into Web3? What was that process like for you?
Me, I'm the CEO of NextDecade, so a company building in Web3 and a bit metaverse too. Before that, you want the full explanation or the half
Everything
of the
that comes to
explanation?
mind. Just roll with it.
Okay, I'm gonna give a specific angle because I've been working on this with my VC recently to provide maybe a clearer vision of where I want to go. I don't know if you know when did you started internet?
I was like,
At what
I think
age?
the first times I was probably 8 or 9. So
Okay,
it would have been
me it was 10.
2000, something like that. Okay.
Okay, same for me. How did you started?
I remember the internet connection. I remember more so the games. But my first interactions were very like plain and simple of hearing the beep 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 sound of
Yeah,
like
me too.
connecting and just like my mom telling me what it was about. But I never took it that far at that early age.
Okay, okay, I see. So me, I'm born in 1990, so I was 10 years old when I started, 2000 like you, and I've started with the internet relay chat IRC, and I started on Wanadoo and Voila in French, like the internet provider, and my dad told me that. So I saw the chat with all the message, and he told me it's an infinite story, and people can contribute to the story. I was like, okay, that's interesting. And since when I've been spending so much time on internet, it was way more interesting than school for me. And I became, I think, an operator of Wanadu Voila Chat at 13 years old, moderating something like channels with 2,000 people chatting. And you have a lot of weird people online, and I had to kick people that wanted to maybe to have adult relation on a chat for young people, etc. So I was one of the youngest actually, and to chat, you had nothing back in the day. It's like Discord, but you have only the nickname, the username, and the what you type, your style in a way, but also the colors that you use when you type. And the people that were using software called MIRC were able to type in colors like one letter in orange, one letter in blue, one letter in orange, one letter. And I was like
Okay.
fascinated by this. I was like they're flexing in a way, and me, I'm writing in black on white. It's so dumb. So I starting to learn how to use this software. And it was the beginning of my fascination for social currency. How can you like not shine, but communicate and be more yourself through digital, but with differentiation elements. And since when I've been doing this, I realized today in a loop. So I've been doing the same after in gaming because I started playing World of Warcraft, I think in 2007. So having the gear that can make the difference, etc., the way you look with your gear, etc., was very important. And then the consequence of all of this, I was able to code and design. I always done both at the same time, spending a lot of time on website like scriptsdb.org or DeviantArt. DeviantArt is still active for design to learn how to do it, but totally self-taught. Before the bac, le bac in France, the diploma, I decided to not do it, actually, because I was spending way too much time on internet, which put me in a difficult situation when I was 20 to find a job because I was young. So I did different things, and I started something at Epitech to learn how to code properly. But I was already coding and designing, but I started this thing, which led me to Microsoft. So I spent my internship at Microsoft and Huawei in China. So I discovered the Chinese market and all the big part of the Asian culture. IoT, Internet of Things, cloud computing, AI in 2015. Microsoft organized a hackathon with Louis Vuitton, which I was a part of as a mentor at the beginning. And then I decided to participate rather than mentoring the hackathon. And then Louis Vuitton called me back saying, "Oh, we are very interested by what you've done, even though we didn't win, and we might have a job for you." So I went, and everything was very discreet. And this is how I entered at Louis Vuitton, doing the first smartwatch of Louis Vuitton called the Tambour Horizon. And then since when, I worked with Virgil Abloh, I worked with Nicolas Ghesquière, I worked with League of Legends for the mechatronic trunk that we did with Louis Vuitton, for Aura blockchain also. So that was my first contact with blockchain. And then after 5 years at Louis Vuitton, I decided to leave Louis Vuitton because I've been doing a lot of IoT product, something like 10. And the vibe around Web3 was growing and growing in 2021. After leaving Louis Vuitton, a lot of people contacted me to be the CTO in their startup. So I met a lot of VC, and I realized they were interested by my what I've done before. And me, I was still interested by social currency because, it's big also, social currency in luxury. You don't buy luxury product because they are extremely useful, but just because it gives a lot of social currency in a way. And I decided to build NextDecade to work on this digital identity because I felt like the software was a bit behind in luxury industry. And the tech industry is not really understanding the concept of digital identity. In gaming, it's very deep, but in a way, gaming is niche. And I have the feeling like Web3 is going to bring digital identity and maybe introvert people because it's more inclusive in a way, Web3. You can still be against a digital, behind a digital identity, but be yourself and assume what you think or be who you want to be. Maybe someone different, kind of role play that you find sometimes. And how do you empower people and brands to be seen as they want to be in a digital environment, which was never for me what people used to say, like something for people that are only online, they never leave their room, etc. For me, it's the opposite. You go online to find people that share the same interest, and then you can hang out in the real life with people that have the same interest. So this is the path, the way that I've been building everything since the beginning.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I completely missed that backstory from. It's really cool because you've actually lived the high school dropout dream that everyone kind of fantasizes about for the past. I don't know.
It was not a dream back in the day.
I know it was not. I would not have wanted to have your parents. I dropped out of my master's in law, and my mom got pissed. Really? I cannot imagine if I dropped out of high school. But at least now, in retrospect, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you were talking about like the online flex, it reminded me of, this is not going to relate to a lot of the non-French people, but do you remember Skyblogs?
Of course.
Yeah, and Skyblogs and MSNs, like the whole point of this was like, how can you flex on other people? What can you figure out about this infrastructure that no one has figured out yet? And how can you make the most of it?
Yeah, and if you think about it, for example, MSN, it talks to everybody. You remember at the beginning, the nickname was black. And then an add-on came and you were able to put colors and emojis in your name. It was not the case at the beginning. It went crazy. Like people were creating nicknames with like ASCII and stuff. and then you realize that you can give a little amount of personalization. People will use it like crazy to develop their identity online. And for me, it's such a big thing. Still not understood, I think, from a lot of companies, but it's so huge.
It is, and it's I mean that's you'll talk about it a lot better than I can, but that's what I feel the metaverse is. When I think of the metaverse, I think Ready Player One is such an appealing like future for the metaverse because it's anyone can build whatever they want on it. I think Webiverse has this vision that basically you can just expand on what's already existing, and then within that same world you build your own world, and that's that composability that if you empower community, then there's just, and Roblox does it very well, by the way.
Yeah, it's a matter of culture. I was describing something this morning. Like you have always the same steps, and the sentence of Elon Musk resonate when he says we play in a simulation, because I have the feeling it's the same thing over and over, but with different subculture that are becoming mainstream. I'm explaining what I mean by that. You start as a newbie. You are a noob. You come. You don't know what you are doing. You kind of look like shit in a game or with your weak NFTs, etc. It's not like, but you see a product on someone. You're like, what is that? So if you think about luxury, it could be a bag. You see a bag and you would like the bag. It looks beautiful. What is it? That's the first thing you say. In NFTs, it's the same. I see your PFP right now. I'm like, it's cool. What is it? I'm asking you, and you tell me, oh, this is this brand. Like, it can be Artifact, it can be Louis Vuitton, whatever. Okay, I'm going to do some research. I look at the brand, and then they explain me the world. Oh, it was created this year for this reason, etc. You understand the mechanics, so now you're already in a metaverse in a way. For gaming, it's very clear because you see the 3D, the world, they can do whatever they want. For brands, it could be like a fashion show, it could be a store, something that puts you in a mood. Then after you have an e-commerce very often where you can buy, so engage financially to empower yourself. Then you can wear those products, which is your avatar in a way. You're not yourself as you used to be. You're someone new, and you're playing this new role. And then you have things to share. Also, you have your wallet in a way. You put your bag, etc., at home in a safe place, at the right place. You have your MetaMask wallet where you can put the things. You have your cloud where you can put other things. So there is always a place where you arrange all those things, and then you can wear them. And then people can comment on your look, so on your NFTs, on your look, your whatever, the way you code, the way you drive, and then you can go to real life parties, real life event to connect with people and develop this business and decide to be a spectator, a contributor, or even a leader in this field. And I realize each time you have a mechanism for the culture, like a culture vehicle, I call it. So if you think about internet chat, it's the people that decided to create channels like Discord. It was more the channels than the server back in the day. If you create a channel and you have a lot of people in your channel, you help the culture because you create retention for this service, and more people are coming, sharing, and then at some point it becomes mainstream because you gather attention. You think about gaming, it's the people like in World of Warcraft that are creating guilds. They create guilds, people, they get involved into guilds, and then it creates the culture and it becomes esport, etc. Same thing for luxury. It used to be Instagram account, or you can argue, or it can be on Twitter, Instagram, or whatever, but you have an account that leads this, and that's fun because I verified it. Like the creators in luxury brands, they follow some accounts of passionate people to feel the trend, get inspired, and then create the collection. Yeah, and then in Web3, I don't know yet. I would say DAOs, because they were the first maybe to have a lot of crypto, invest, support project. More and more, I don't know if influencers, they have an impact. Maybe yes, maybe not. But for sure, those accounts that are relaying a message is what, like brands, for example, they are looking for. They are looking at those people that are relaying this culture, resharing, retweeting, and it's growing and growing and growing. And at some point, it will become mainstream.
It's so incredibly present in NFT projects. I think the first one to do it extremely well was Azuki.
Azuki is insane.
Grail DAO, you have Spirit DAO. There's probably a few. I'm not the best versed, but I recently joined Valhalla, and Valhalla has insane community power behind their smaller DAOs of like the Bala ones. Mine is a maroon background, for example, which some people have rallied behind. And yeah, it's super powerful because you get your groups of super users, of super community members, and they, like the most vocal ones, will manage to have a big impact on the brand and also have a big impact on their own financial well-being, because you're basically, by being a proactive member of a subcategory of an NFT project, you actually give more value to that NFT project. You make it more appealing, and so it brings you power.
And it's both ways in a way. I see the trend of free mint a lot. So even when you have so much attention as a leader or as an organization, you can then create free mint and bring money to those people because they were early adopters. They have a facilitate access to it. So then you can share the outcome of the attention. Because together you are strong and people want to be involved, brands or individuals.
That's really interesting because you often hear about the argument of like the dilution of the supply. You know, when you have an initial collection that generates a free mint for their initial collection, it's like, okay, that's cool, but don't do it too much because you're gonna dilute your ecosystem. And that's what Artifact, for example, has been in some trouble for, because people are saying that they haven't given enough value to their holders, or that it has been diluted. But I hadn't heard about it that way of, it is a reward and you do with it what you want. If you decide that you sell it, then it dilutes a little bit the supply, but it also lets someone in.
Yeah, and the supply is a problem. For digital, I think we will get rid of this topic of supply at some point, because in digital, it doesn't make any sense to talk about supply, but more about events. Like if you collect, like Pop is interesting. Pops are on something. It's like small, the use case right now, but they're on something because it's an event. And if you get something out of an event, it's fine to have a huge supply because life is going on. So you have events very often, and those events, those badge, those whatever you call them, could financially mean something, and then you can change the life of a lot of people. By. I give you an example. I have my community as an influencer in a way, like on Twitch, for example. I said, come on my room. I'm going to do a free mint right now. And you lock the entry to the room, like 200 people max. And it's like something metaverse. And it's kind of Fall Guys. You create like some hard way to get the free mint, and you put a lot of free mint everywhere. And people have to rush and go and to get the free mint. So it's a fun experience. And this free mint, some viewers are frustrated because they can't enter to get this free mint like right now. And then right after, the free mint will be worth something because the influencer had a strategy behind to activate this token. And then the token will be worth something because of the demand from the community that love this creator. You can see it with donation and stuff. And then those people that were here and created this momentum of attention, they will be rewarded just by the fact that they were here before everybody and did everything that the creator wanted them to be engaged with. This I see it in the near future where you can redirect money and value to your community rather than you as a creator all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then you kind of fall back into there's still the supply for that experience. And so I think the concept is very interesting. One of the main value propositions behind, for example, Clonex has this value because there's only 20,000 of them. It's backed by Nike. And so it's this paradox of demand, of potential demand, because Nike and what they've done in the past and everything that Artifact has done until now against okay, but it's scarce. There's only going to be 20,000 of them. And that's what also brings value to some sneakers and to some luxury brands items. So what do you mean by supply will not be a thing or should not be a thing, and how would you see that evolve?
I see brands less valuable than Louis Vuitton, and Louis Vuitton is one of the most producing item company in the world. So in a way, it's less scarce than other brands, but it's still more expensive. So it's only a matter of perception at the end. People, they say it's scarcity because they are deep into Bitcoin that has a fixed supply, etc. But you have no idea of how human perception can change, and especially on very small numbers like that. Even when we say, oh, diamond, it's rare, it can be very expensive, up to 60 million, for example, etc. You have no idea of how many diamonds are out there. And it's not scarce at all. But people, they have this perception that it's scarce. Even a Rolex or something like that, it's not rare at all. And it's just perception. People, they are confused with perception, I think. They think it's scarce, and at the end, it's all about the narrative. Yeah. Some companies are like Azuki is a good example. They come back from hell, but the narrative is so good and the execution too that you just can't fight it. They do it well, and they feel it.
The big difference or problem then. One is you're right. It's a matter of perception, and yeah. Also we're still living in our small bubble. Like there's a few thousand NFT people just like buying and selling each other's NFTs right now. So of course we see the scarcity as a big point because right now we're still a small number, but you have the blockchain, and so it would be really hard for me to look up how many LV bags are out there on the market, but it's super easy for me to go and check that there's 10,000 Azuki, and
then what?
I don't know.
That's the problem.
This is a very interesting conversation because I haven't thought about it like that. For me, it was at least subconsciously an important part of it because there's only 20,000 of those, so of course they're extremely valuable. But now that you put it this way, I see your point.
It's the experience that sucks, I think, in NFTs world. Okay, it's valuable, you get it, and then what? Nothing, very often. Even if you think something happened, to really deploy a plan for customers at the end, we say community, but at the end, it's customers, you pay your asset. You need so many resources. I've seen it from inside, what they are doing with fashion shows, dinner, client advisor, etc. And you need human people. Like, I would be interested. I think Louis Vuitton is 400 stores worldwide. The amount of client advisors they have to take care of one client, it's huge. And the team of founder of an NFT project is small. So for 10,000 clients, I don't know how many client advisors they have, but it's way more than what you see in NFTs. And they take good care of people. So, the small attention like birthday. Like it's stupid, but I've never seen a NFT project wishing a birthday except to the founder. Automatically, that's super weird for me as a brand because they are brand. So they need to adopt this client culture, and the client is very demanding. If you think about it, I think we produce maybe 90% of the content that was consumed, that was created on internet was created last year, and it's almost already all consumed. We need to create more content. So the clients are very demanding, and if you don't have a strong structure that can handle all this demand, the concept is kind of going away. And I think also Web3 people, they have a lot of vision. This is because they are early adopters. This is maybe not the case of mainstream, and brands like Artifact, in a way, they are ready for mainstream. And mainstream is not coming yet, thanks to people like FTX and things like that. So in a way, they are losing short term because they are maybe ready too soon for the mainstream adoption. And in a way, they don't have the culture of Nike. Nike, it's like Louis Vuitton. It's been years that they are operating. So the employees have their own pace. They know how to do the things. They feel everything. The Artifact teams, they have to build everything every day, everything depending on the market. And it's a lot of pressure when you had such a success to keep providing value because the numbers are crazy for Artifact. Huh? And you need to provide value, and on top of that, you build on top of Twitter, which is very hard as a social network compared to Instagram. So yeah, I would say maybe short term it looks like there is not enough value, but I would bet on Artifact long term when the mainstream is here because I think they are ready for mainstream adoption.
Yeah, man, you said so many really cool things. Yeah, there's definitely this thing of timing and right now because we're in a bear market and because there's very little liquidity, there's there's a lot less happening on the market, and so we pay attention a lot more, and our own personal well-being and our own personal perspective is going to affect how we react to this or that news. And so for a company like, man, if this was a full-on bull market, Artifact would be doing so much better, even like relative to other teams, I think.
And they are trying hard things. I've been doing, for example, connected shoes with Louis Vuitton. The number of things that you need to have certification worldwide, do the test for those sneakers, etc. It's hard, and they are, success comes from failure. It's a known sentence, but they are taking some failure now that will benefit them in few months.
Absolutely.
When people will struggle. So yeah, never be short term.
You were saying some really cool thing about delivering value for NFT. You were saying some really cool things. Yeah,
obviously.
For
you too.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, for NFT projects and delivering value, and I agree with you with wishing people birthday, but right now there's this disconnect, and for example, there's no real CRM for Web3. I know that the eFounders team is working on that. Crew3 is working on that as well.
Yeah, very good team.
Very, very good team. And and I think they're like, people are noticing and you have another team like Tropy who is trying to add a utility layer on top of NFTs. My first guest, Sarah, is building Co-Create, and so she's providing services for people who have launched an NFT collection.
Yeah.
And so there's all of this, and there's probably hundreds more, because right now we have the foundation layer, we have the community layer, and it's really actually fascinating because we were all looking at crypto, like the financial aspect, and then DeFi, you owning your own finances and taking that power away from banks. And then you have NFTs that come in. And for me, they blew my mind because I was like, all right, this is what's been missing this whole time. It's that linking material for people to connect and to feel like they belong to something. And then on top of that, you can build a bunch of things. So how do you, like, you're a designer, you're an entrepreneur, you're a tech guy, you're a business, you're a lot of a visionary as well. So how do you see this evolving? How do you see these brands who have like achieved very fast what it took others years to do in like building a very strong super user, super community base. What do you think they build on top of that in the next few years in terms of value delivery?
You said the thing. They've built a brand at a speed that is crazy, blazing fast. Now they have a problem, they have a brand. And you don't manage the reputation of a brand like a side project. Like if you look at luxury company, their reputation is everything. You saw Balenciaga, the drama a few weeks ago. It's killing brands when these kind of things happen. And I'm sure they didn't want it to have this kind of drama, but when sometimes it happened. For example, Virgil did a fashion show, Virgil Abloh, and he put the flag of all his team at the studio. So you can see a bunch of flag. And people were saying, oh, my flag is not on the fashion show, so it means that you are racist in a way. And that was not mean at the beginning, but the perception was crazy. And a good communication department can anticipate this. The problem is that it's managed by the same people that are building also. So they can do everything like build, manage the reputation, make sure and it's very intense. They have limited team very often at the beginning. So you spread your energy in multiple topics. And at some point, when you are such a big brand, you need to focus on and put all your energy in something and have other people being able to. So no, they need to hire. But how you hire people that are not ready? If you try to hire a blockchain or a marketer or something like that in Web3, you're going to struggle because very often they are not built for that. They will say, oh, I used to be a product manager in an IT department or something like that, but it's not the same thing at all. There is the culture that is missing. So you need time to have the amount of people that are available for this. And you can see the opposite way. They struggle to enter in Web3, the big companies like Facebook, Google, etc., because the employees are not ready to do this, even if they are very talented in other contexts. So first, it's a matter of having the right team, then focusing on something. Sometimes it's the CEO that needs to be a CEO because he's still doing like product or doing some marketing, etc. I know you need a bigger team. Sometimes it's the brand. There is no pillar in the brand. People, they were clicking on the art, clicking on the activity on Twitter, but that's it. And for a DNA, it's very weak. You need a bigger DNA. So what are your key pillar? And maybe you need to do a step back. Maybe you have some debt. You started something and now you feel like, oh, we need to reward this collection and this collection and this collection, but it's not going in the way we want to bring the DNA. So you need to rethink everything and not frustrate or maybe frustrate some people. But the problem for me is the vertical, because if you think about it, okay, you started in the NFT, now you are a brand. What your brand is producing? If it's NFT, it's going to be a problem because you have this dilemma of supply. And the fact that companies are successful is that they are able to repeat something very often and make margin because they streamline the process. Yeah. If you can't create NFTs like every day and sell them, you have a problem. So what do you do? So very often they say, okay, we do merch, we do a hoodie or we do a cap or something like that. Okay, but in terms of craftsmanship, you will order to some supplier that is doing, I don't know, soccer t-shirt. You put a Frih logo and then you ship this. The shipping is a nightmare. You did it very in a manual way, and shipping worldwide is too hard. Some certification issue, regulator issue. Then the quality of the hoodie is not that good. Then in terms of customer, you can't give back the money. If they don't like the product, you need to get back the things. Like it's a full infrastructure to deploy. So then they realize they're not ready to do merch and physical product. So the question is, what do they do? Movies? Anime? So they have this to choose. And if they say, for example, we want to be a gaming company, okay, how much money do you need? Because building a game, you saw with Cyberpunks or things like that, it's hard. It's very hard. And maybe people from Web3, they don't really want games. They like casual things, like casual Twitter, casual hype, casual things, but not too deep. Like I don't want to spend to incarnate a character and then do quests like World of Warcraft. If I want to play World of Warcraft, I go play World of Warcraft. But Web3 might be different in a way. So yeah, it's a lot of questions to answer for those new brands.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge, and I actually I hadn't gone so far into the rabbit hole of this conversation because it is true that usually the most successful businesses and the most successful products, they start with the vision of, this is where we're going, this is our vision, this is the problem that we want to solve, and we're going to dedicate most of our attention and most of our resources towards it. But in the case of NFTs, you have a bunch of people who find themselves with a shit ton of money on their hands, and sometimes great people, sometimes people who have very high expectations, and they face these people who are technically their customers, like you say, but who feel like they are investors and own part of the network, which is what I personally believe should be. I think that's Web3. That this is not something that most people seem to share, because they're still like this really top-down relationship of, all right, you're the team, now do something. Make my NFT valued more. And so when you start like this with no clear direction, and you have to figure it out on the go, you're going to go bankrupt like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. The fact that you are not in lean mode creates a lot of noise. And imagine, you have to make sure your team can eat and work. You have to make sure that your investors, they have enough progress. Like, okay, retention is not good. You need to change something. Yeah, but I have my plan. No. We need retention like this month. You raise so much money. It's now. Okay. And you need to deploy this money. Yeah, but I would prefer to do my product. No. Deploy the money. Like, do marketing events. We go in New York. You do an interview, etc. Like, okay. And then you have the community going crazy. Not everybody is built for this life. And when you try to satisfy too many people, very often you fail because you can't satisfy everybody. So those founders, they need to go back to their gut feeling. And very often they will be in situation like a lot of owners that we saw in the past, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, they were against their investor, against their community. Like, remember when Mark Zuckerberg released the wall on Facebook? The wall is such a nightmare. Newsfeed are stupid. Snapchat, when they changed the UI UX because they had a strong feeling. So you need to start being kind of a dictator with your gut feeling, because at the end, people are buying your vision since the very beginning. This is what started, where everything started. But very often you see also that those people, they are kind of introvert. The people that made the Web3 project great. You can look also Vitalik Buterin. It's a kind of
Good definition.
good, exactly, very smart, and even more visionary than what I thought actually, because I realized some stuff. But the problem is that being a dictator where you're introvert, you are very hard with yourself very often, but not that hard with people around. You can't really protect what you think because you're not used to those leadership conflicts. That's why you were in your room developing your own project a bit on the side. So you need to evolve, and it takes time. You can't ask someone to be like that in 2 months. You need time to rotate and be who they need to be for the project. And some of them, they will not succeed to switch, and they will say, okay, burnout, I prefer to go back to my previous life because this one is not for me.
Or you do what Pixelmon did, raised, I think it was 70 million at the time of the mint, and just passed on the project to a capable team and management. And that's actually a pretty you're native. Yeah, it's super smart. It's very smart. Yeah. And the people who actually stayed in and trusted it, I think it will pay off greatly for them. And it's all right. I did my thing. I did what I'm good at. I'm Web3 native. I'm good at understanding how these markets work. I'm good at raising money. That doesn't make me a good product builder. And so I raise the money. I'm going to take my cut, and then I'm going to pass it on. And these people are gonna do fine. And I have another counter example. EtherOrcs. Do you know about EtherOrcs?
No, I don't know.
In my mind, they're one of the OG projects. On-chain games, very cool pixel art, and incredible community. and they just announced that they're letting go of their project, that they're turning everything CC0, and that people, if they want to, can build on it. And it's really interesting because they're super passionate and they wanted to build something really cool, and they did, but they came to a point where they're so kind and they're so Web3 and decentralized oriented, but they didn't make any money. They didn't manage to turn this into a business, which is like, we're still in a capitalist society. At some point, like you were saying, you have mouths to feed, you have servers to pay for, you have services. At some point, you are going to face a lawsuit, so you have to be able to pay your lawyers. Like, all of these things are just like real life stuff of being a builder, being a founder, and these are things that not a lot of Web3 founders start off understanding from the get-go.
Yeah, and then they don't have the right network also. Going to business with tech companies or luxury companies, I created a network of like lawyer, accountant, etc. that are good. And I like when it's organic, so I trust people. They introduce me people, so then there is trust. If I created a project and I have to find lawyer, accountant, etc., and I go on Google and say lawyer, not too expensive because it's the beginning, etc., it's gonna be a nightmare. Like when you come with a recommendation and when you come without a recommendation, it's not the same thing. So I think they might be a bit alone sometime, and also I think me as an investor in some project, we spoil those creators. Like we kill them by making it giving too much money too fast. It's like a child. You give too much money to a child, you will see the results. It's going to be a nightmare. You need to think that you will allocate some money to those guys when they need it, but not too fast, because otherwise they can't be lean. And if there is too much noise, they can't find the traction. And if there is no traction, your investment will go to hell.
That's a super interesting paradigm shift. Dude, we should actually, like, this should be the normal setup. Okay, you want to raise 10 million? You're going to get 100K a month for the next 100 months. And that's so much fucking money. That should be the case, because we faced so many times, more times than was necessary. Like, imagine a system where you're like, all right, I'm going to commit $1,000, but at some it's put in escrow, and it's okay. No, this is going to get too complicated. But anyways.
No, but I can give you, because we built a smart contract built on that. So I don't know if it's going to work or not, but just to play with, and we will give it to the community. Listen to the mechanism. For example, you put 1 ETH. Okay, it's a mint. You create your project. I put 1 ETH. You can't withdraw it because there is rules. You need to define a supply. You need to define a goal, which is maybe 30% or 50% of the overall supply that needs to be sold on the second-hand market. If there is no sale, you can't withdraw the money. It's not happening. And maybe a duration to take a decision that I will describe after. So maybe 1 week. Okay, so you do the drop. I put 1 ETH. You can't withdraw, and me, I can get back my 1 ETH when I want, because I don't trust the project anymore. I still get my NFT. So I have the NFT in my wallet, and I can, but it's actually kind of free. I just gave my attention to your project. So you have 1 ETH in your bank account. Compte séquestre, like more...
escrow.
Escrow, exactly. And people are doing the same. So now you have 3 million in this account, but you still can't use it. So you need to show to the community that the project is so good and keep on delivering for people to reach the supply sold out. Okay, now you're sold out. You can still remove your bid in a way until the goal. So it's already a first momentum because it's sold out. So everybody is excited. Wow, 3 million of euros sold out in maybe 1 day. But still, the goal is still not done. So we can still go back if we think that the project is not going so well. But still there is traction. We can't deny it. Then you hit the goal. So what's happening with the goal? Second momentum. Wow, we hit the goal. That was the target, and it's happening. So the guy is really working on the project and driving it. And then the people that want to confirm their buying act, they can. If they want to buy for life, they can. The people that were selling on the second market, they lost their bid. Like I put money, I resale, I lose my 1 ETH. So it creates automatically the effect of selling for 1.1 ETH, for example, to at least sell it for a bit more. So it pushes the floor a bit up, and actually the floor will be at the price of the bid in a way. If you want to positionate your collection at 1 ETH, for example. And for people that says, we don't answer because I was not paying attention to this bid, the money will automatically go back to their wallet. The token will be burned. So the supply will be deflationary based on the people that confirm the buying act. But meanwhile, during this full process, so I don't know, maybe the collection, if it was 1,000 NFTs, it's 837 NFTs at the end. But the traction that the founder was able to show to VC, for example, or business angel was huge. So he was able to trade this traction against funding. And the people that are investing, they are not risking anything because they can follow the capacity of the founder to deliver at least during the launch mechanism. So you like the only person that can be fooled in a way, it's maybe the VC or the business angel, but not the consumer or the founder.
That's really cool. It seems very complex. I would love to see it out in the wild and to see how it works.
You have only two, but I will share the source code. But you have two things. You need to measure if the token was transferred to 0x0, which means burn, or to someone else. And if you can detect this, then you can manage your table with everybody that put a bid. And create the automatic refund if something is not going well. And then there is the timer that you need to manage as soon as you decide, as the goal is done. You have maybe 1 week to decide what you do, and then the supply is modified if nobody is confirming.
Are you personally going to use it for anything, or are you just going to put it out in the wild? And
we're going to share the source code and do a drop with it to show people and live this experience to see if it gives something. But you kind of split the minting experience in 2 to 3 parts, and I think it's better than having a one-shot mint and then it's done and nothing is happening.
That's awesome, and especially because from a design perspective, you can like it can be a full-on experience, a full-on UI journey, and that's exciting.
And it's a zero risk for the investor. You put 1 ETH, you give your attention in a way to the creator, which is the most important thing. Your attention is worth something on Web3, way more than your ETH. And your ETH should just be a consequence of putting your attention on the right project and the right creators.
If you want to generate mass speculation in the next few months, what you do is similar to OpenSea's wrapped ETH. And with 1 wrapped ETH, your smart contract accepts it as a bid. And so you can have one person that bids on 100. And so you have the appearance of thousands and thousands of bids, and your smart contracts just creates a new bull market because it seems like there's so much liquidity on the market.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We've solved the bear market.
Done.
A few minutes ago, you were talking about Vitalik and that you've realized a few things, and I would love to hear what you've realized.
Okay, so as I said, I used to play World of Warcraft. And Ethereum, it comes from World of Warcraft. It's a faction inside World of Warcraft. So he decided to use this name for the blockchain. And me, I'm thinking a lot about Phygital or Twins product because coming from luxury world, product is important. But to me, it's crazy that when you buy like gold, for example, you go to Cartier or Tiffany or whatever, and you have a cardboard which tells you that you are the owner, but it's a cardboard, the same one that you have for a pizza, for example. And I'm like, what the fuck is this experience? When do we have digital smart contract with the 3D matching with, and we can put it in our showroom, etc. And I was thinking about the name. I was thinking about Phygital, which sucks big time, or Twins product, which is a bit long, and Twins, like, yeah, maybe it's not clear for everybody. And actually, I was reading the definition of ethereal. I'm gonna read it. Yeah. I'm gonna read it because I was like, the guy anticipates almost everything, and we still don't realize it. Ethereal, extremely delicate and light in a way that seems not to be of this world, which means an ethereal product, in contrast with a real product, could be a Phygital or a Twins product. So even in the concept, if he found the faction and the wording that could fit also for physical product in the future, especially for NFTs, without knowing that NFTs will become what it is right now. And I'm like, okay, I think this guy is on so many things that we still don't understand. And
he's out of this world.
But for me, he's an artist in a way. I don't see him as a genius that is doing math, etc., etc. It's like he's feeling things, like the intuition that he has are like, wow, crazy.
It's definitely like, you can't, I mean, our brains are very powerful, but they can't predict. They can't predict anything. True. Because the universe is just too complex. There's too many variables. And so you see that, like, the weather is a perfect example. Like, we've been trying to predict the weather for hundreds of years, and the technology behind it has reached a point that it is incredible, but we're still incapable of predicting the weather. Like, it's still I don't know, maybe 80% chance that you're going to get it right, and 20% you're going to get it wrong. And our brains,
and that's great.
Yeah, I'm not. That's amazing. That's incredible. And the things that, like, data analysts are trying to do, or are capable of doing, are genuinely amazing. But they can't predict everything, because you have black swan events, you have just things that are out of our control that we couldn't predict. The gut, though, the intuition, it seems to, like, find its way between this. And so for someone to be pretty much the sole creator of something this huge, that, like, what you're just saying is amazing, because it's almost poetic in a way, which is not something that at first glance you would call metallic. And so he's a sweet, like, we need to keep him safe. He's very important to the world.
Yeah, true. And you see it with a lot of crazy important people for humanity. People, they say they are awkward, like, socially they are not social, but I think it's not true, because in a way they understand society better than us at a scale, I would say. It's just they are able to do it at a scale. They have an impact, but a big impact, where we have very often a one-to-one impact with my friend. He's sad, I'm going to help him. They are able to help, like, plenty of people. Maybe in one-to-ones are not that good, but you can't ask, like, everything. They are good at a scale. It's already something. So I would love to live this mode where, when someone might be kind of a bit of introvert or shy, etc., he's socially awkward. No, it's not because he's not on Instagram day and night and putting, like, videos, etc., that is socially awkward. Actually, I might find the opposite.
Yeah, I absolutely find the opposite. One of the greatest examples for me is Elon Musk, because very often you hear of people having experiences with Elon Musk of, he just fired that person, or he was just rude or mean or whatever. Or then you see him and he has a way of expressing himself that could seem like he just can't talk, or that he just doesn't connect with the people that he does. And my perception, my own thesis on Elon Musk is that he has more empathy than anyone on earth. and he has it at a scale that no one else on earth can understand, because he seems to genuinely care about a lot of things. I saw this video where he talks about cosmonauts not finding what he's doing interesting and not wanting to interact with him, and he almost sheds a tear, and it showed me that, like, you don't do that if you don't have empathy. And so I think he has empathy for billions of people, where we can have empathy for like 5, but he doesn't have as much empathy for on the smaller scale.
Yeah, and I do. Elon Musk is hard because he's controversial. Like, people either they love him or they really don't like him at all. Me, I'm not judging that. I'm like you. Empathy is not necessarily good. He has a lot of empathy and is able to do it at a scale, period. Good empathy or bad, or nice guy or bad guy, it's something else. But his empathy ability is just like way too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, it's taken us an hour, but I would really love to talk about NextDecade, because that's what you build. That's how we got to meet. We interacted. I went into your project and we helped each other out. And then you came into my project and helped us out as well. And then we had these Twitter spaces where we just kind of went on a roll and just had our own conversation. Tell me about the genesis of NextDecade. Tell me about what's happened since you started it and where you are now.
So I wanted to do NextDecade because, to be honest, I'm not really good as a person on one-to-one. Like, my mom, she's helping migrants, etc. She's dedicated to one-to-one relationship with people. Me, growing on the internet, doing my things, etc. I'm not that good with this, but I think I have like good skills to bring something that can help more people. Maybe not at the scale of Vitalik or Elon Musk, probably not, but I think I can do something here. And I've seen 2 things that were shocking for me. Tech is leaving people behind. People, they can't handle tech. I think ChatGPT was a huge showcase of this problem. Like, if you talk normally to something and the answer is natural, like ChatGPT is not that insane for me in terms of the answer that it's providing, especially in code, etc. For sure, it will get better. But the fact that it's answering in a human way was the game changer. Like, even if the interface, people can say it looks like shit, the way it was answering compared to chatbots we used to have in 2015, it's mind blowing. The work they did is crazy. So people, they feel touched. Like, someone told me, one of my developers, I just had a conversation with ChatGPT. And I was like, what the fuck did you say? Like, you had the conversation with ChatGPT?
I've literally said the same thing to people around me.
And I think that's the game changer. People, they like to see humanity everywhere. My iPhone is talking to me, everything is talking to me. But I think this is interesting. But technology is leaving people behind, and people, they leave this less and less well. It's becoming very bad, the distance from people. Like, I'm sure you have people in your family that are asking for help with computer, etc. They are so confused, and it's really hard for them. And it's going to increase, making people lose control on their environment, which is never good. So I wanted to bring more human interface for tech, to kind of create an abstraction, but that they can still audit. If someone wants to audit, at least they can. So with blockchain, it's super nice to have a human interface that you can audit. So that's the first thing that I wanted to do related to tech. And related to giving back, still a blockchain concept. If you all contribute, the network is more resilient, which works for everything. How to give back at a scale? I saw people with such a huge amount of money in luxury. Like, this is not normal. But the more you create a distance between poor and rich, the more problems you have, and for both, actually. And the middle class is kind of disappearing. Middle class is not saying anything. It's getting wrecked right now. So you have the poor that are trying to do whatever they can, the rich that are doing what they do, but with more and more problems, and the middle class absent, like almost disconnected. And I'm like, if we keep on increasing this distance, there is only conflict. You need to, like, it works only if the distance is not too big. And since I think it's my generation, like people around 90s, born in the 90s, that will help fixing what was bad, I was like, you saw those people that wants to give so much social currency to others through luxury. And the margins are insane, by 7, by 10, even more. Like, you don't need that much money. And finance was made, like, companies, they were made to create currency and like euro or dollar. And now you see that euro or dollar, it's not really the topic, with COVID, with etc. It's not really the topic. And I'm careful when I say that with people that really struggle with euro and dollar.
Yeah.
Yes, it's hard to get when you don't have, but globally there is so much money everywhere. Now, what is important is how you give back, actually, because it's always going up to those big structures that are able to gather all this money with the repeatability effect that they deployed, but it's never going down to normal people, I would say, to re-inject and create a real economy. And I think with NFTs and Web3, there is all the mechanism to do that, to not split the fees, but in a way, with achievement systems and social currency that will become, what are you investing are you helping, like, this cause or this thing, etc. If I can see that you are doing that, then you are a good person. I think the fact that you have the full and those brands are nice, like Gucci or whatever outfit, can't be enough in the future. You need more than that. And NextDecade is about that, being able to show your digital identity that you can show somewhere else, so based on blockchain, and tell it to others and have interaction with them based on that. And also manage your assets in a better way than, for example, MetaMask. Like, the experience, if you think about it, it's MetaMask, OpenSea, and Twitter. And the 3 integration, either to manage your asset or show your profile or buy, are quite poor. If you look at just put the picture of those 3 services together, you will see that it's not the right level. How can we bring this to the mainstream? And if you have enough people, then you can start redistributing. So this is what I'm trying to do right now. With the brand, it's working super well. We have a craftsmanship in 3D, blockchain, and luxury, which as a one-stop shop, so it's almost impossible to find at this level. B2C, it's harder because you need to reach a level of craftsmanship and you need to iterate. And the last year we've been trying a lot of things. We have a lot of data and we know how people are going to use it, we think. And now we are building a triple A in terms of app to make sure that we are providing the best thing possible in terms of blockchain and 3D and navigator, browser-based. And it should be ready by mid of 2023, fully like I want, like the proper triple A, not an experimentation or something a bit side project. And also I learned a lot last year, so I had to take my... it was not easy. When I do something new, very often, like the first smartwatch of Louis Vuitton, it took me 1 year and a half to release it. I really tried to do it in 1 year, and I was not able. After I was able to do all the other projects in like 3 months without certification, because certification always takes a lot of time. But I think for the company, it's going to be the same. Like, my pilot will be like one year and a half, and after it's going to be way easier. But
Man, that's super crazy. Yeah, and I've seen the learning almost firsthand. I mean, from what you've shown publicly anyway, and in your own way, you've been quite transparent in showing like the steps that you were going through, the iterations that you were making. And honestly, even a year and a half is pretty decent. And it's pretty interesting because you and I, we seem to be on the on the same timeline a little bit, because I started about a year and a half ago. The first year was definitely a lot of experimentation, a lot of failure, a lot of stress, a lot of like lows that were just insane, and highs that were very exciting. And now we're actually coming to the all right, now we pretty much know what we're doing and where we're going. But what you're trying to, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I think you always knew, and for me it's the same, what we wanted to do. But the market was so crazy with up and down that you have a tendency to say, okay, I'm going to follow the market, because when it's up, everybody's saying you're wrong. And when it's down, you manage to maintain the project and survive, and you're like, I was right. And then you are disturbed because it's a new space. So you're like, I don't know everything, so I'm going to try to rely on what people are saying. But there is so much noise that this bear market allows us to go back to our gut feeling, the intuition that we had at the beginning, and now execute it well because we went through something hard. And I think if you don't go through something hard at the beginning, then you end up in the situation you were mentioning for some project where they don't know really what they are doing. It went almost too fast at the beginning. I prefer to build slowly, and have a hard moment at the beginning, and then have something that makes sense long term, rather than rushing the success and then.
Yeah, it's probably the best. It's probably the best approach, the best mindset. It definitely didn't come easy for me because I very optimistic, very idealistic, and so you see the end goal and you see it very clearly, and so you idealize a little bit the steps and like, all right, my goal is so great and it's so good for the people that I'm targeting. Of course it's going to go this way. There's no way it's not going to happen that way. And then of course everything else happens and things are just not that easy in life.
But it makes sense. Like, let's be transparent, you and me. You are, I'm going to be mean and radical for on purpose, but I think sometimes it's good. You are not good at communicating what you have inside you, and me, it's the same. We are not good at doing that, and we are trying so hard to do it. And maybe you can do it in one-to-one with me easily, but maybe online through Twitter and Instagram, it's like tools that are not very ergonomic to totally share what you have. And maybe you release too early. You don't prepare yourself enough, etc. Like, if it's not working, it's because there is something off, and you need to understand human psychology, and it's hard. It takes time.
No, you're absolutely right. And I actually personally, like, everything that you just said is absolutely spot on. And I realized it in the last little while. And that's why I'm so excited about the podcast thing, because you and I having a conversation, I can actually share what I'm thinking, what my perspective is, and you can share. I'm a very intuitive and very emotional person. I care very deeply about the things that I do. Otherwise, I don't do them, and it's extremely hard. I suck at Twitter. I'm just terrible at it because
me too.
It's just not for. It's just not for. Well, you've been talking about introverts. I consider myself very much an introvert.
And me too, actually.
Yeah, I can tell. And it's and it's really, but it's, you can tell when someone is an introvert because given the right stage and given the right space with other introverts who let them in, you just have wonderful, amazing conversations because you have all of this juice, all of this power that suddenly comes out. One of the things that you were saying that I found that I think is, I mean, I got this from what you were saying of, in the bull market, there is such a dissonance caused by the speculation. You have huge amounts of liquidity, you have huge amount of speculation, and it draws your attention away from what you're doing and into, all right, this is what I should be chasing, because you get this almost underlying sense that liquidity means validation, and so what you're doing is right. And
exactly.
For me anyway, in the bull market, it was like full throttle, doing everything. Everything becomes a priority. Oh, we need to do that collaboration. We need to do this giveaway. We need to do this and that. And like 10% of what you do actually has real meaning and real value. And then June came, 3 Arrows Capital went bust. Everything stopped. No more liquidity. No more buys on our token. And it was like, holy shit, finally I'm breathing again. And finally I go to, all right, this is what we're doing. Exactly what you were saying. This is what you wanted to do. Let's get back to it and let's kill it. And we've been working so hard for 6 months, and now we're actually getting to a place where we're going to start to execute again. But it has so much depth and so much meaning, and is going to have such huge impact. And that's what's
Yeah, and I feel it when you communicate. I feel more, it's weird. I have the feeling when you produce content on internet, the energy that you put in this content, you can feel it. I had the discussion with some of my designers when they design something that they don't really believe in. I can see the result on the post, and I can take a friend of mine that is totally shit and is able to do better because you can feel the energy that he put in this creation.
100%.
And what is hard also is that now you are winning, and people, they don't realize that when you have the right mindset, you instantly win. You don't have to wait for a success or whatever. You are winning already. It's the right path. People that were thinking they were winning in the bull market, they are not really winning. They are buying problems for coming months. And you can see it with almost all the projects right now that were super successful. Now they have problems. Every day they need to find a way to maintain the value, to blah, 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 because it went too far, too fast. You live your life, you develop slowly but surely, and you are winning because you suggest something different. And honestly, winning in the bull market, we had Buns. Buns.land was a project we launched during the bull market. We sold out everything. But honestly, winning when it's always going up, is it a win or is it just the wave? It's not the same W actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I hadn't thought of it like that.
Yeah, people are saying, like, I don't know who told me that. You are winning in Bitcoin or you are winning in real estate. No shit, it's been 30 years for real estate or Bitcoin, maybe 2008, a bit after, depending on when you entered. It's always going up. Like, if you don't win since when, it means that you are making too many back and forth in between, but it's only going up. So if you keep your money here, there is no way you are losing money since when. So, like, when people say Warren Buffett is such a genius, oh, really? Like, he put money in the stocks, and the stocks are going up and up and up and up and up and up long term. How can you lose?
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But that's the thing. I mean, when you put it like that, it's so duh. Yeah, obviously. And then you're in crypto, and in crypto you have, oh my God, this is the absolute next project, and oh my God, you need to put your money in there, and you, it's so, when you've seen the massive waves of speculation, it's so easy to think that you can 10x your money and that you can take it out and that's it, you're good. When in reality, it's going to go up and then it's going to go down, and then you're going to have this opportunity, and so you're going to put your money in that opportunity, but it's too late. And so in the meantime, the other coin has pumped, or that other NFT project has pumped. And I was actually having a chat with someone else on the podcast, and Web3, for me, the metaverse is an alternative universe where we create the rules. Like, the people who participate, we create the rules. You own a piece of the network, and with that voice that this piece of the network grants you, you participate, and then you create, and then you give feedback, and then the product feedback loop changes. Instead of being like internal to the team, it includes do you know BioPills?
Yeah.
Okay, BioPills is
good project.
Incredible project, incredible team, and they have perfectly understood how you build a true Web3 product. They integrate the team, they integrate the community into their feedback loop. And so for me, that's what the metaverse is. But for that, if you live in an alternate universe where you have the rules, where you own a piece of that financial system, you need to understand what it means. And you need to understand that to earn generational wealth, quote unquote, because that's what we hear all across Twitter and all across Reddit and all across everything, you can't just like buy something here and then just dump it in 2 weeks because it hasn't done 2x, and then buy another project because you heard about it from some person whose incentives are not aligned with yours. You need to actually like do the research, find the things that you actually really care about long term, put your money in it, and then forget about it for 5 years. And then find another amazing project and put some money in it, and then forget about it for 5 or 10 years. And that's where you create wealth.
Yeah, and maybe wealth is not what we think also. When I hear you, for me, blockchain is the 5G of education. Think about the number of people that now have a financial education because they went through maybe 30 years of market in only like 6 months. You learn, like, it's blazing fast how fast you learn with blockchain. And in a way, it's like trackers of history. You put like real tracker software to make sure that Alexandre le Grand, the Great, was really doing that back in the days with this amount of money, etc., etc. So it's like it's kind of an alternative in a way to the education system that we have that is failing. I would recommend a student to invest a bit in crypto and suffer a lot to have his PhD in finance rather than anything else. So to me, it's like education in a way. And if you are educated, you will win no matter what, because you understand what you are manipulating. To me, what's happening is just that uneducated people came to a place of scams, and they will leave this place of scam or stay with resilience. Like, they will not be as vulnerable as they used to be. So no, they are more educated. They are a better version of themselves. So for me, they are still already winning. It's not negative at all. And I like also to think about square technologies. Blockchain is a cube. Pixel is a square. Actually, not really, but this is the representation we have. If you and like blockchain is bringing dimension to pixels. Blockchain is the past. You can track everything, so it's a proof of something. In all the case, blockchain is a proof of something. Pixels, it's the future. It's visual. It's imagination of what you're gonna see in the future. If you combine both, so you have a new product that has memory, which is blockchain. For me, it's the brain, and you have the pixel, which is the body. How good it looks like. And some people, they are looking only at the body sometimes, like just the pixels that they see, and they don't look at what made the key difference the last years, which is the blockchain. So you need to look at both at the same time. And if you learn it, like, look at how many also people learn about art, digital art, historical art, etc., just by following this movement. Now they understand, like, I don't know, they know some painters, they know some glass morphism. Maybe they didn't know what used to be glass morphism back in the day, etc. So for me, it's just education. You enter in a space where you learn so fast. You have the feeling that you suck, but you don't actually. You're just learning, and when you learn, you fail. That's normal.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you. Anti-fragility for me is a very big concept. Yeah. It's so important, and it needs nature breaks and then heals itself and then becomes stronger. And I see all the events that have happened in this space so far as anti-fragility tools. It's like, all right, this event hurt you, but you're going to get back up. And I don't mean to sound like an asshole, or that I don't empathize with the people who have like lost their lives, that have lost their livelihood. Like I actually feel deeply for them. And so I'll just focus on the more like bigger picture.
Yeah.
But this level of failure at this magnitude, like these thousands of people losing $10, $50, $100, it will make them stronger. And if they do eventually come back, then they will be stronger investors, and they will make better decision. And even if they don't come back, they will go back to their real lives, and they will be less susceptible. They maybe will look closer to what is presented to them, and not just like take it as face value. And like you're saying, look at the block and not at the pixel. I love this thought. Wait, what were you saying?
Yeah.
What were you meaning about the pixel not being a square? What is that about?
Because it's three colors actually that are not, it's red, green, and blue, and it's not like totally a square. It's a combination of three colors, and depending on the screen and the resolution of the screen, it's not the same thing. But people, they represent it. But even a block, we said blockchain, but it's not a block. It's code. It's like writing. Like it's not a block. But thinking that it's square and they are combined, and something is the past, something is the future. What matters is the interface that you have to interact with both and take your decision. But right now in the moment, you don't go too far in the future. Don't go too far in the past. Like you are in the moment and you need to take the right decision. So take your do your own research, like they say.
Yeah, and be careful of FOMO, because that's what gets us every time.
Yeah, because we have mimetism. It's like it's social. You do the same thing than the others, but people. And even with those $10, what would they do otherwise? They would buy a Starbucks with full sugar, and then they will say, "Oh, that's great! I love the drink." And then they never complain about Starbucks because they gain 10 pounds or something like that. I don't know if learning is bad. When I buy training online, it happens sometimes. I want to learn, I don't know, 3D shaders training or something like that. I'm not like, oh, it took my money and I'm still not able to do this cube. It's so shit. I'm like, no, I learned something. I struggled. I paid to struggle, and I love it because for the future, I'm going to be a better person. So
yeah, but you decided for it. And that's the hard thing. Is one thing in our like Western societies, we're pretty much taught that like life is mathematical, where you input one and you output one. But crypto tells you that sometimes you input one and you output zero, and we're not used to it. And so you do this thing. You're an investor. It lies on you to make your decision. This money belongs to you. If you decide to put it, it is your responsibility. I hate, like, scammers are very good for some reasons for the learning experience, but overall they're very bad. And but it is still your decision. And so it's harder in that case because you didn't decide to buy into a scam, into the learning experience. You do get something meaningful, but it takes a very specific type of resilience in order to really be able to see it.
Yeah, and very often when people, they get scammed, I see, oh, it was late, I was tired and stuff. Yeah, then go to sleep. Why are you trying so hard to take decisions when you're not at your best? Me, when I take decision, it's when but FOMO of what? Like, life is going live since so many billion of years. So you will have opportunities, but people, they feel like they lose everything. Like, I know people that for Bored Ape or CryptoPunk, they think like it's done, like it's never gonna happen again. But I see new opportunities like almost every day. I think we have we are lucky all the time, and we have the feeling we are always like luck is always absent. But actually, you are lucky for so many reasons all the day, but you just don't realize it. So it's true that in terms of culture, we think everything is logical, mathematical. Actually, it's the opposite, and that's why we are free, because nothing is predictable. So nobody can control what's going to happen next. And you always have opportunity you just don't see them, and you need to learn how to see them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think dopamine plays a huge part in it. It's been a big interest of mine these past few months, and it's like, I'm going to put myself in the shoes of the like classic Web3 degen. You spend 6 hours a day on Twitter. The rest of the time you spend it going through Discords and going through maybe not right now because there's not that much info, but like white papers and just projects, and then someone calls out something and then you go look into it. And then I think that in bull market, that's when most of like the scams and wrong decisions happen. It's harder to make a wrong decision in the bear market. But like in the bull market, it's so crazy. You have Telegram where you're in 5 groups and you have 10 different people shilling you 15 different projects. And so you go look at each one, and because you don't really have the time to go deeper and to look at, all right, is there a track record for these people? Is there a track record? Like, can I go look on the blockchain to see if there's like something that shows that like this might turn out the way it's presented that it will? And then someone out of the blue kind of sends you a link. You don't question it too much because it looks legit. You click, you connect your MetaMask. Like, I've been scammed once, for example. I've been in this place for 6 years, and then one day I was feeling a little bit down, and I just very mechanically, like there was I was completely dopamine deprived, completely like ego drained, and I just like did it, put it in, and all of a sudden NFT's gone. I was like, okay, that's how.
Yeah. So you need to remove this device from your proximity, like when it's like that. But
done and done.
As a founder, I see a lot of my employee coming with the e-cigarette, with the coffee, and even me, coffee, it's a huge problem. With the screen, so you have blue lights, etc. So your brain is always in fire, and it can't work like that. You need to have some peace. We take so many products to be always at our best and rush, etc. And even we don't sleep that much, but I need to get up because the day is going on. So I need to, and sometimes you just need to chill. And it's not the investment part the problem; it's the way you manage your
absolutely
peace.
No, you're absolutely right. The investment part is just a symptom. It's just a symptom of everything else. And if you do things right, then you're good. And for example, like I moved away. I used to live in a bigger city where I was going through that, like going to the office and then getting the coffee and then being on the screen the whole day and going to the office whether or not I've slept well or not, and like letting life drive you instead of like driving your life, deciding what you do. And now I've moved out. I live in a smaller place with my girlfriend, and we're both very mindful of what's good for us. And I don't turn on my phone after my routine these days has been 1 hour of meditation, 1 hour workout, and then a cold bath in the sea. And then, only then, do I turn on my phone, like 2.5 hours after I've woken up. And the change on your brainwaves, the change on how you approach life, how you're able to better solve problems, to have meaningful conversations, to maintain focus and productivity, it's just mind-boggling.
Yes, but you are deep in personal development, because everything I hear since few minutes, it means that you did a lot of research that I did too. The only thing that I would add is people, they need to allow themselves to do that and stop sometime when it's not working, when they don't want to do it again, and be able to come back to it because they feel like they've been a bit too far, etc. So maybe it's time to be in a peace mode, and I activate those mechanisms again to get back to a better situation. People, they think either they do it their entire life or they don't do it. It's black or white. I think they should just use it when they need to go back to something better.
100%.
And they forget.
Yeah, 100%. It's you. I think the best example that we've all heard is the whole "I'm going to start working out" thing. That person who's been quite inactive for years and is like, all right, now I've made the decision and I'm going to start working out. I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week. I'm going to have a clear plan, and then I'm going to have a diet. And then, I've been smoking a little bit, so I should really cut this out. And I know that drinking. And so all of a sudden they try to pile on everything onto their plate. And too much, way too much. And then after a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 6 weeks, if really like they're incredibly mentally strong, then they'll break. Whereas 100% with what you're saying, you start small and you do what you need. You feel down at the end of your day, or like you feel drained, just meditate 5 minutes, or like breathe for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when you start feeling better, you don't feel like you need to do it, then you don't anymore. And then after a while, you realize, oh shit, it's actually better when I do it consistently, whether I feel wrong or whether I feel good or bad. And then it integrates. And then 5 minutes turn into like that guy was telling, we were having a conversation, and he was asking me about my routine, and I told him, well, yeah, I like meditate 2 to 3 hours every day. And he's like, what the, how can you do that? I can't even do that for 5 minutes. And I told him, yeah, I was the same. It's, and everyone is the same. There's no one on earth who just starts by working out 5 times a week, an hour and a half every day. It's, you need to build it up. It's the same with everything.
Repetition is key. You start having habits after 30 days, and it stays after 90 days. This is what people are saying. So you know it's a long process, but just try.
Exactly. And life goes up and
Same
down.
thing with crypto.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's just one thing. It's been an amazing conversation, and there's just one thing that you touched on that I would love to hear a little bit more about. You talked about the luxury component, and I think you said 3.io, but I'm not sure I got it.
Luxury 3 with the 3.
Okay.
.io. Well, it's still a work in progress, but the goal is to archive all the luxury project and give a vision of luxury project. And my prediction is that luxury projects, they will take over even the blue chip for many reasons. And if you go in collection, for example, you can show the blue chip, and you can see that the blue chips are on top, that the luxury brands are below. It's almost only about digital for luxury brands, except for Gucci that had one derivative project for PFP that is one of the most successful actually. And the blue chip, it's only Avatar PFP project. So you see how the market is split. You see also the number of sales, luxury, it's increasing every week. And at some point, it was like 6 sales per week for some luxury brand. With such a strong brand, it's impossible only 6 resale opportunity. So I think they will, within the 2 years, be above blue chips. Some know, like CryptoPunks, Bored I don't know, but CryptoPunks, I adopted because for me it's a piece of history. CryptoPunks more than anything else. But the rest, they can outplay them easily, I think, with the infrastructure they have and the strategies they have. So that's why I'm doing a focus on this. And I'm doing a focus on this because inside NextDecade, I want people to have the best products, especially in ethereal products, digital or twins product. And luxury brands, I know they will provide the best craftsmanship in terms of real product, and doing good 3Ds are starting to learn how to do it. And also, there is another reason for that. There is no second-hand market. And actually, luxury brands are not even doing second-hand market. Prada, if you buy a token after, it's useless. Tiffany, if you buy the token for the necklace, it's useless. There is no utility. Like, it's either you have the necklace or there is nothing. So they are not even trying to play in the second-hand market because they are so used of the first-hand market, and they used to say, yeah, but Le Bon Coin, Vinted, etc., or Craigslist, sorry. Gary's mod on Steam. I'm confused. Craigslist, etc. They say no, it's not for us. But in the digital space, there is second-hand market, but and it shows your volume, your floor price. So it's important to take part to the second-hand market. It's like actually mandatory. Otherwise, you're absent. But there is no second-hand market in terms of depreciation. Like, your product is not going to hell because it's digital. So there is no like it's less expensive because it was used, etc. So actually, it will drag the price of luxury way more than what it is right now, even for second-hand market. I think on top of that, you have the like Japanese culture. When you use something, when something is already used, there is more value into it. And with all the climate, etc., and upcycling, I think everything is converging to let luxury brands take NFTs, make it as the new pattern for products, and be above any other industry because they really need it. It's key for them to keep the momentum. They don't have any other choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I have this sort of picture in my mind of like in a few years you buy an LV bag and you have the digital twin, and the transaction can only happen online, or at least like have a sort of escrow, and some, if 2 years later you sell your LV bag, then you transfer the ownership. It's just, and it just makes so much sense, and it brings transparency to the space. It brings more value. It makes sure that LV counterfeit product, and it makes sure that the brand still makes money 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line, because anytime the NFT changes hands, there can be a fee that goes back up. So it's, yeah, good for you. What's oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just agreeing with what you said.
No, I was just going to ask, like, what are the luxury NFTs that you're watching?
There's two things. There is the luxury brands and the luxury NFTs. What is already released, I'm very impressed by Gucci, Dolce & Gabbana, and which one is the third one? There is a third one that used to do things very early and very Web3. And even though I'm not especially a huge buyer of Gucci or Dolce & Gabbana, the fact that they acted super fast and they did several try, even Prada, I'm impressed. For me, it's impressive, the speed. So it, and you know, I used to say, soon you will see two things. Like Hermes, I think it's 1837, the creation date of Hermes, and they put since 1837 or 32, 34, I don't remember. Soon they will have two since 1837 and since 2021. And 2021 will be one of the best year for them. And the one that will have 2028, you're going to be like, okay, you're a bit behind, my friend. And luxury brands, they don't want to be in this position. So for me, the brands that did this move now, even if for me, it's maybe not the biggest brand in the real world, I think in the future they might be huge because they get it like crazy. So those that were active very early, I'm impressed. The one that I like, I'm a huge fan of Burberry, but they didn't do anything on Ethereum.
Okay.
Huge fan of Louis Vuitton. Obviously, I see that they are doing a few stuff recently, so it's cool. Yes. What else? I like Hermes. I would like to see Hermes doing NFTs on top of dealing with Mason Rothschild. I would like to see who else. Balenciaga, I like it, despite the drama they had with the communication. I like what they do very often in terms of design. And for the one that are released so far, I don't see anything that I especially like now in terms of value proposition. I think it's a bit too far.
I was actually going to ask, and I swear this will be my last question. How do you think a brand like this, what's the optimal use case, or at least your favorite use case for a luxury brand to use NFTs for?
To me, people, they add a lot of PFPs. So they already have their avatar. 3D or not, that's not the point. They have their avatar. What you should do is creating derivative for their avatar that are matching the art of those avatars to show some understanding some context. You understand the context of this space, so you create something like Gucci did in a way. Because people will start collecting animation for their own avatar. And the avatar that for me will be worth the most will be the one that did the Gucci drop, the Givenchy drop, the I don't know which other brand drop, and this is this set of experience and this package of NFTs that will bring value to the original NFT. And to me, they don't let owners have fun with their NFTs and engage very often with the brand. Like, you just need to create touch points where they can kind of increase the value of their digital assets. And after having a proper membership system, and maybe with a tailor-made offer for NFTs, especially unleashing new creators to emerge. like you want to practice, take risk with your brand. Usually you can't do it with the NFT community. They love when it's weird.
That's
And
so smart.
me, what I would do, honestly, if I'm Louis Vuitton right now, I hire one new artistic director for this kind of product that is native of motion design, real-time 3D, etc. I put this guy with my actual artistic director for a normal collection, and he's getting used to them and the process of syncing and the volume and the intensity and the codes, etc. And then he will translate it to 3D motion, etc. to create the 3D craftsmanship of the brand. And then you let him try with Web3 population to see if it's clicking. And then when the guy is going to be crazy, I think the products, they will be already merged. So you will need this kind of artistic director in-house.
That's so cool. Yeah, I love it.
I would do that.
I love it. All right, LV, I hope you're listening. Thanks, man. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. And before we close off, what do you, where should people reach out, and who are you looking for at the moment? Like, who are the people who should reach out to you and talk to you and that you're interested in at the moment? So
you can find us on Twitter or Discord. On Twitter, it's NextDecade app. Quite easy to find if you put NextDecade. And so we are based in Paris, in the middle of Paris, actually, Rue de Rivoli. And what I'm looking for right now is people that love to craft product in terms of software. I don't like calling people designers or developers. When you enter at NextDecade, they are nothing. They are product creators. They are not like, you don't design or you don't develop. You create a product, which means if you say I'm a developer and I don't know how to design, to me, you're incomplete in a way. If you know how to design, but you say I don't know how to code, you're incomplete. Doesn't mean that you have to know how to do it, but you will learn with the other employee how to do it. And you need to have this drive and willing to learn. I don't want you to do what you used to do in your own previous job, because it means that it's too easy and we are reproducing something that is already made. I want you to leave NextDecade at some point and be better than when you entered, just by the fact you learn the full scope of what a product required. This is what I've been doing at Louis Vuitton, and I know 100% it's working. And this is how they work also internally. You need to understand everything from the product, from mechanical, industrial stuff to software to certification to everything works together. And I want product people, like true one, not a product owner or Scrum Master. Or I don't want that. I really want product people.
Man, I want to come work with you now. That sounds awesome. All right, if you're listening,
try.
Yeah, all right. I'll link me an application and I'll give it a shot. If you're listening and if you fit that description, go check him out. If you don't get it already, he's fantastic, and what they're building at NextDecade is awesome, and I can't wait to see what the next few years have in store for you. Thanks so much, Alex.
Thank you.
I knew this would go well, and it still exceeded my expectations. I love talking to you. So
yeah, it's always a pleasure. When I saw the meeting, I was like, yes, this is one of the meetings that I want to do.
That means a lot. That means a lot. Thanks so much, man. And I'll talk to you soon.
Cool. Yeah.
The universe sings.